Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm out on another walk. And this time, well, I'm in a sorry state. Well, I'm in a sorry place. I'm in Sussex. I'm in Worthing, down on the south coast. I'm in a place called Teville Gate, which in Worthing used to be here, where I'm standing, go back to as far back as 1790s, and here was a meadow. There was a pond fed by the Teville stream, about where this rather ghastly multi-storey car park is now, behind me. And it was fed all the way from the South Downs, and it came along, and then it went. Actually, I live very close to here. It went past my house and it went to a place called Brooklands, which is a rather beautiful pond that's been maintained and looked after by the council. But now, this area, that as you can see is a sort of a bit of a wreck, is here, and it's been like this since 2010, for 17 years. And I thought it would be fun to have a little wander around and look at what goes wrong when you don't do something. Let's examine it in a little bit more detail. So here, what I'm looking at now, used to be Comet. That was an electrical store. Well, Comet is no longer here. The whole place looks like it's been hit by a comet, if you ask me. And here, as you can see, the relics of 1960s development. In fact, these were finished. They started in about 1964, and the whole place was open to the public in 1970. It took about 6 to 8 years to get this place in any sort of shape. And yet, before all of this, there was something quite lovely. And in the 1960s, it was a time when anything that was quite lovely, beautiful architecture, was ripped apart because the councils of that time, up and down in England, thought they knew best. It is a desolate place. It is horrific. Let me just take a walk along here. You can see the backs. In fact, as I'm walking along, you can see these were bays of shops that were once here. They're not here now, obviously. A number of shops with housing above them. And in the space of, 40 years? Gone, ruined, pulled down, some of them still remaining. And it's just been an eyesore for so blooming long that it's ghastly. It's just ghastly. There have been many attempts to develop this site and turn it into something nice and useful, but they've all been well over the top, ridiculously expensive, and in my opinion, just plain stupid. What I worry is that all these things which, for Worthing, which is a Edwardian seaside town, these constructions that they want to put up, which look like something from a big city, would just look inappropriate. And that's the trouble with the council here. They keep building stuff which is too modern looking and out of place for a beautiful Edwardian seaside town. Now, as I come round here, past what used to be the Worthing auction galleries, we make our way up towards the railway. And the reason I'm coming up here is because this area, after the 1790s, started to be developed. So it started off as this rather lovely common, and to the left of your screen there would have been a windmill further along. It's all gone now. Here is, in fact, the station just on my right, the modern station. I say modern, I mean the Victorian station. But prior to that, an earlier Victorian station is just on the left of your screen, the other side of Capella House, I think that's called. And on your right, this horrible monstrosity is what used to be, and again opened in the 70s, a gruesome, and still is gruesome, it's more gruesome now because it's sort of just decaying and has windows smashed and everything else. Used to be the tax office, and I used to send my income tax to it. But let me just come up here. I'll just try not to get knocked over. Just run this way. So now what you can see is actually all of this in the 1800s, from 1790 onwards, would have been Victorian houses, lovely houses, all sorts of houses, including somewhere along here an indoor bowling green. Hard to believe, but true. This was called Railway Approach. This rather interesting building was the first railway station in Worthing when the line came. I forget exactly when, but around 1870, something like that. And there is a plaque on there, and if I was a dutiful person, I'd go and read it and find out. This bit of the road would sweep round here, where this horrible multi-storey car park. There were beautiful houses, Victorian houses, some of them very humble, some of them very nice, but they hadn't been up for very long, about 60 years or more, and they were crushed. In fact, I want to go into the multi-storey car park so that we can get a good view from upstairs looking down. If I can go, you could go up the stairwell, I suppose that's one way of doing it, and have a look down. This is going to be knocked down. They keep saying that it's going to be knocked down, and they haven't knocked it down. But I believe that next year, 2018, they are actually going to knock it down. I read something online to that extent. And now you'll see why. There's flies. I don't know if you can see the flies. People come in here and urinate. It is pretty horrible. I mean, people still park here. You can park here relatively cheaply for the day. Little old ladies come to Worthing, they park their cars so they can get into the town. And there's no lift, and they come down these dodgy old stairs. Now, as I make my way up, I used to be able to get right up onto the top, but you'll notice can't do that now. And in fact, you'll see over here, you can't get anywhere near. They've blocked the area off. They say it's dangerous up there. Well, it's dangerous because too many depressed people, probably from looking at the blooming place, have thrown themselves off. It's quite a famous suicide place. I have no intention of doing that, rest assured. But from up here, we can get a bit more of an advantage of the well, we can if that tree wasn't in the way. It's very sad and it's very grim. I'm going to go around the other side and just have a quick gander that way. So what I'm saying is that once there was a grass common, a pond, there was a turnpike just up the road, that's sort of like a toll gate, and then in the 1800s they built some Victorian houses servicing the railway, an ideal place to live, with shops, all sorts of things, butchers, all sorts of bits and bobs, and then in the 1960s they decided this area was up for development. They wanted to put these 1960s concrete, horrible, nasty buildings in. They opened up the tax office behind me, which is there, and then from 1960, 40 years later, the whole place, nobody wanted to live in it. The 60s designs were just awful, were just terrible. Nobody wanted to live there, and I don't blame them. So I just wanted to come out and show you that not all of my walks go in beautiful places. Some of them end up in some sad places, and I don't hold out much hope that this will ever look particularly as lovely as either when it was a common or when it had the Victorian houses here. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up and write a comment. Is there somewhere near you that looks like it shouldn't be there? 17 years we've been waiting for something to happen here. 17 years. And in the meantime, noise of the police and everything. Till I talk to you again, bye-bye.